After defeating the fanged wolves, Eten removed their fangs so he could exchange them for points at the end of the exam. He then turned to Fatty, asking him if he could keep the wolf fangs for himself, and Fatty, still shaken from the previous fight, agreed without hesitation. Eten, preparing to leave, looked at Fatty once more. Are you still going to continue in that state? But Fatty sat down on the floor looking helpless. Forget it, I've given up, this exam is too dangerous. I'm lucky to have even survived. My teammates were all heavily injured, so I need to bring them back as soon as possible. Hearing his response, Eten breathed a sigh of agreement. It seems that's the best thing to do. However, as soon as Eten began walking away, Fatty urgently called out to him, Eten, wait, in the wild zone, there's a pseudo-beast, you must be careful. Eten replied, seemingly confused, a pseudo-beast? It turns out that the danger level of beasts is ranked with beasts being the weakest, then pseudo-beasts, and then the strongest being fierce beasts. Fatty then continued, I heard that people from the First Academy were fighting a spotted snake that was over 100 meters long. Fatty's eyes then narrowed. Apparently it's a pseudo-beasts, which means that whoever kills it will get 500 points. Upon hearing this, Eten's eyes sparkled with a hint of greed. 500 points. Tell me quickly, which direction is it in? Fatty slowly raised his finger. It's in the southeast. Without waiting another moment, Eten hurriedly darted off using his speed talent, leaving Fatty in the dust. 500 points. If I can obtain it, I'll definitely be able to place first in the exam. As Eten sprinted through the city, covering dozens of kilometers every minute, he noticed something from the corner of his eye and immediately stopped running. Dozens of bodies of students from the First Academy lay on the ground completely motionless. However, before Eten could process the situation, a massive explosion erupted in the distance. Understanding that it was most likely the pseudo-beast, Eten moved in the direction of the explosion in the blink of an eye. A raging fire enveloped the entire area as Eten peered down at the battle atop a nearby building. His eyes immediately widened after seeing the scene. So that's a pseudo-beast. At the same time, Mo Xiaobei shouted out to the other students with a tense expression, advance, we must slaughter this bastard. The 500 points will definitely belong to me. Mo Xiaobei slashed his sword at the pseudo-beast's scales, but it seemed like he was trying to cut a thick sheet of iron. While attempting to punch the beast's thick scales, his bodyguard urgently shouted to him, young master, this pseudo-beast is running out of stamina. It's the perfect timing to defeat it. Mo Xiaobei lunged towards the beast with a hint of arrogance clearly showing on his face. Alright, I'll take care of the rest. He leapt up in the air, directly facing the pseudo-beast's 100-meter-long body, and then forcefully plunged his sword right into its forehead. Moments later, the beast slapped Mo Xiaobei with its tail, sending him flying a couple hundred meters away, his body violently crashing against a building. However, his face revealed a somewhat delighted expression. He, I got him. The 500 points are mine now. The pseudo-beast's gigantic body, enough to cover an entire city block, thudded onto the ground completely lifeless. Eten, who was watching from afar, clenched his fist and gritted his teeth. It died. Damn it, I was too late. Mo Xiaobei's bodyguard bowed his head in respect. Congratulations on scoring 500 points, young master. Just as Mo Xiaobei was brimming with delight, celebrating his recent victory and being first place in the exam, the pseudo-beast's body suddenly started to twitch and its color was gradually changing from red to a bright purple. Seconds later, its large snake-like body completely stood up again, this time, radiating an ominous energy, far more ferocious than earlier. Mo Xiaobei's face darkened as he thought, since it hasn't died yet, this must be Bloodburst. The pseudo-beast began rapidly slithering away as its silhouette disappeared amongst the abandoned buildings. Mo Xiaobei's eyes flashed as he hurriedly shouted to the other students, that's not a pseudo-beast, it's a full-fledged monster now. The group was both shocked and hesitant. A monster? Then should we chase after it? Mo Xiaobei sternly responded, of course, monsters are worth a whopping 1,000 points. The other students fell silent for a second, but upon realizing the opportunity that had just presented itself, they immediately ran in the direction where the monster had escaped to, their minds completely consumed by greed. As Mo Xiaobei began chasing after it, he fell into deep thought. Our attacks have left that monster extremely weak and vulnerable. We must get to it before someone else does. Otherwise, all our efforts and sacrifices would be for nothing. Watching from afar, Eten was astounded. Wow, I never thought a monster worth 1,000 points would show up. Sorry about this, guys, but I'm faster than you. Positioning himself in a stance like a beast about to hunt its prey, Eten muttered the words, speed talent, maximum power unleash. He then launched himself from the top of the building, leaving nothing but rubble in his wake. Like an indestructible bullet, he darted through the city at a speed indiscernible to the human eye. Landing in another area of the wild zone a few minutes later, he noticed a trail of purple matter on the road. This must be the Viper's mucus, and it looks like those bastards from the First Academy aren't here yet. Nice. Eten carefully examined the Viper's mucus, and after following the trail, he arrived at an abandoned shopping center with remnants of monster energy surrounding it. A cold smirk crept up on the corner of Eten's lips as he spoke. It must be in here. Looks like those 1,000 points are mine. Cautiously entering the shopping center, Eten noticed the pervasive pervasive aura of the monster present in the air. The viper's stench is so pungent, it should be somewhere near here. However, Yi Tian's eyes immediately widened as a drop of cold sweat ran down the corner of his face. The viper monster towered over Yi Tian, its figure hidden by the dark, but one could easily see at first glance that it was far larger and fiercer than before. At the same time, Yi Tian noticed a sparkling rock growing from the top of the building, and the viper monster was drinking the water dripping from it. What is it drinking? That can't just be normal water. Not giving any more thought to it, Yi Tian drew his sword, and with a piercing gaze he coldly thought, I'll worry about that after getting my 1,000 points. He dashed towards the monster with eyes brimming with determination, and the monster immediately sensed Yi Tian's bloodlust. It launched its giant hands at Yi Tian, and he barely managed to dodge the attack while thinking to himself, damn, it's fast. He immediately readied his bow and launched 3 arrows at the monster, all at the same time. Caught off guard by the sudden attack, the monster hissed in pain as 2 of the arrows hit its eyes. Yi Tian landed on the ground for only a split second, and then instantly launched himself towards the monster again, this time, with his sword in hand. The monster stretched out its razor-sharp claws to try and intercept Yi Tian while he was mid-air, but before it could even realize what was happening, Yi Tian landed on its arm, with his sword already plunged into it, and began running up the monster's arm, leaving a trail of its own blood as his sword tore through everything in its path. After leaping off the monster's body again, all Yi Tian could see behind him was a spray of dark purple matter. As the monster's body violently crashed onto the floor, leaving a thudding sound, Yi Tian looked calm and serene as he breathed a sigh of relief. Phew, monsters sure are strong. There's no way I could have killed it if Mo Xiaobei's group didn't wear it down first. Glancing at the strange rock he noticed earlier, Yi Tian pondered, what is that liquid? Actually, it doesn't matter what it is. Since a monster was after it, it must be some kind of treasure. He then took out an empty flask and began harvesting the liquid. Then, plunging his sword into the monster's eyes, he held the giant eye in his hand, while thinking that this will now serve as his proof to claim the 1,000 points for the exam. Yi Tian also noted that the blood from the heart of a monster is extremely valuable, and he began collecting the monster blood in another flask of his. He then gazed at the strange rock where the liquid was dripping from, and after a moment of contemplation, Yi Tian drew his sword as he thought, I have no clue what it might be, but regardless, I can't let Mo Xiaobei get his hands on it. A small fragment of the rock was sliced off, and he immediately stored it in his backpack, along with the other treasures he acquired after killing the monster. The points I've earned from this are more than enough to put me in first place. Time to get out of here. After Yi Tian left, the group of First Academy students arrived soon after. One of them angrily shouted, the monster's eyeballs were taken. Its heart is depleted of blood as well. Mo Xiaobei's bodyguard had veins visibly bulging on his face. The only thing left here is its corpse. What should we do now, young master? Mo Xiaobei tightly clenched his fists and shouted with fury, who was it? How dare you steal the 1,000-point trophy that belongs to me? I will destroy you. Later that night, amidst the rainy and stormy weather, Yi Tian was stealthily spying on the entrance to the abandoned shopping center, where the First Academy students had just walked out of. Young master, whoever stole your points probably went into hiding. What should we do now? Mo Xiaobei replied with a gloomy expression, search every single person you see and find that thief. There's no way I'm letting them get away with this easily. Watching the students immediately disperse, Yi Tian looked even more cautious. Looks like I'll have to lay low for a while. Moments later, Yi Tian swiftly leapt into the air, looking for a place to hide temporarily. He pondered that everyone would eventually find out when he turns in the monster parts for points, at the end of the exam in 3 days. So for the remaining time that I have until then, I must focus on cultivating and quickly improving my strength. This seems like a good spot. He then settled down in an unsuspecting abandoned building, sitting down cross-legged. Yi Tian pondered how much stronger he could get after drinking the monster blood that he just collected. He then tilted his head back, chugging down the monster blood like a soft drink. Damn, this has got to be the most disgusting thing I've ever tasted. Oh well, this is a small price to pay in order to get stronger and protect my sister. Meanwhile, in the city, Yi wistfully gazed outside of a window of her classroom, thinking about Yi Tian. Brother, are you doing alright? Back in the wild zone, Yi Tian was vigorously cultivating as a shocked look appeared on his face. No way, this monster blood is increasing my cultivation speed by almost 4 times. No wonder Chendong and the others were growing stronger so fast. It looks like aside from your own talents, you also need aid from outside substances. I'll have to cultivate to the best of my abilities in the 2.5 days I have left. 3 days passed in a flash, and all of the students of the 5 academies were gathered at the entrance to the wild zone, where the points were being calculated. Bao Lei, 23 points. Zhang Yi, 10 points. Shuahai, 0 points. At that moment, one of the students confidently dropped their bag of monster parts in front of the point calculation desk. Li Yunqing proudly stood there. Teacher, please calculate my points. After opening his bag, there were dozens of monster parts including fangs, eyes, and scales. The teacher raised her eyebrows with a surprised expression. Li Yunqing, 195 points. However, just then, as the onlooking students were still looking at Li Yunqing with admiration and respect after hearing how many points he got, Mo Xiaobei walked up up to the point collection desk with an evil grin. It's only 195 points. What are you guys getting all surprised for? Li Yunqing, I've really overestimated you. Do you think you're qualified to challenge me with not even 200 points? Hearing these insults, Li Yunqing glared at him with a hint of fury in his eyes. To further provoke him, Mo Xiaobei then arrogantly dumped his backpack full of monster parts onto the teacher's desk. Calculate these for me. The teacher's face turned pale with utter shock as she finished counting his points. Mo Xiaobei, 427 points. Everyone in the crowd was stunned. Damn, 427 points. As expected of Mo Xiaobei, the difference between us is so huge. I only have 30 points. However, Li Yunqing pointed his finger at him in accusation. You shameless bastard, you must have stolen points from other people. He, if I did, then I stole them with my own abilities. Is there a problem with that? Li Yunqing gnashed his teeth so hard that it emitted a grinding sound, and he stared at Mo Xiaobei with eyes like sharp blades. But before he could reply, a group of Mo Xiaobei's female admirers walked up to him. Congrats, Senior Mo, with 427 points, the first place is yours for sure. But his face immediately darkened after hearing this. No, the first place should be over 1,000 points. Unsurprisingly, all the students were both shocked and confused. 1,000 points? How is that possible? Ignoring the students gossiping, the 5th Academy instructor approached the point collection teacher. Every student who's still alive should be out of the wild zone by now, right? The teacher glanced back with a sly smile. That's right, anyone who still hasn't come out is probably dead. The instructor's mouth curled into a faint smirk as he spoke contentedly. That means Mo Xiaobei will take first place in the exam. However, just then, the sound of footsteps could be heard in the distance. Everyone was shocked. What? There's one more? Including the instructor, who turned around with a panicked expression. He seemingly appeared nervous. One could tell from a distance that each step of this mysterious person was made with an incredible purpose and confidence. It was Eten, with his jacket elegantly fluttering in the wind, and his gaze looking as deep as a bottomless abyss. He resolutely walked up to the point collection desk. In comparison with Mo Xiaobei and Li Yunqing, he only had a few monster parts, but the 2 large red eyes he obtained stood out to the teacher, and she hesitatingly asked, "Are those the eyeballs of a monster?" Li Yunqing looked at her unfazed. That's right, so what is my total points? The teacher then declared, Yi Tian, 1,163 points. Congratulations, you have scored first place in this year's practical exam. Moments later, Yi Tian was standing on the awards ceremony stage, collecting his first place prize, which included 3 bottles of monster blood and 100,000 yuan. Fatty proudly called out to him, "Well done, Yi Tian." Meanwhile, Li Yunqing was completely puzzled. That kid, how did he? At the same time, Mo Xiaobei glared at Yi Tian with a murderous intent. The thief finally showed his face. To think that it was one of those 5th Academy lowlifes. He immediately commanded his bodyguard to run a background check and find everything there is to know about him. Fatty blissfully wagged his finger while listening to the students' surprised remarks. Yi Tian really showed them. Our 5th Academy has finally brought home a first place in the practical exam. However, after seeing the dreary expression of the 5th Academy instructor beside him, Fatty inquired, "Teacher, why don't you look happy? Didn't Yi Tian bring glory to the 5th Academy?" But the teacher coldly stared into the distance. What an ignorant brat. He has offended and angered a family as powerful as the Mo's. I'm afraid that your buddy might soon find himself suddenly dead. Fatty narrowed his eyes and concernedly looked on in the distance, fearing that his buddy was soon to face a great storm. On the practical exam leaderboard, Yi Tian was shown in first place, being over 700 points ahead of Mo Xiaobei, who was in second place. The light of a camera flashed as the top 3 students each got their photo taken together. The practical exam is now over. Congratulations to the top 3 participants who each received prizes. Mo Xiaobei coldly turned his head towards Yi Tian. You must have some guts to dare steal something that belongs to me, you brat. Yi Tian smirked. I could say the same to you. Just then Li Yunqing chimed in. Hey, young Master Mo, did you really forget what you said to me earlier? I talked to you. What did I say? Li Yunqing continued. Like you, Yi Tian also stole points with his own skill. Is there a problem with that? Mo Xiaobei let out a disdainful laughter. His own skill, you say? Then between me and him, who do you think is stronger? At that moment, Yi Tian stepped forward with a menacing gaze. I guess we'll have to find out by fighting, won't we? If young Master Mo has the time to, then I'll gladly fulfill your request. Mo Xiaobei was taken aback by Yi Tian's overwhelming confidence. Oh ho, how interesting. Not taking his eyes off of him, Yi Tian thought to himself, once you get targeted by someone like him, there's no running away. The only way out of this is to become so strong that he won't dare to challenge me.